God damn it. Man, this reparations Sambo Babbling is getting disgusting, y'all. For real. It is utterly pathetic. I got to give a warning before I do this one because these trash pandas are out of control and they must be reeled in. Like, we have a vermin problem, a rodent problem in our community when it comes to backstabbing what's in the best interest of our people. So before I even start, I got to say this. Fair warning, y'all. If you have an easily upset stomach to the foot shuffling coonery, this might not be the video for you. If you have a low tolerance to the bullshit, the chicanery, the Sambo Babbling anti-FBA rhetoric, the cooning and foot shuffling, if you have a low tolerance to these things, I urge you not to watch this. Please do not watch this video if you have a low tolerance that may cause you to do things like break up shit in your own house. Because it's that disgusting, it's that pathetic, and I'm gonna explain to you why as I go through a few different cases and points of why this is detrimental. Even though it's not gonna stop us. It ain't gonna like really hold us up. It's just what we have to know. And unfortunately, the first defense we have to get through when we're pushing for our own justice and equality, the first line of defense for white supremacy is tethers and coons. So let's set it off. Let's get it going. Let's go. There go. We're gonna start it off with a broadcast I was watching last night. And we're going to give 4 different examples, all right? We're going to give the example of some trolling, I believe to be Tether, that called into the Black Authorities channel last night. We're going to go into Clown Bay Taharka Gay. We're going to get into Coleman Hughes, which is a throwback to something I've done before. And we're also going to get into the person who you see in front of us now is Representative James Clyburn. It's gonna. This is also something that was tweeted by the Black Authority. So let's go.
The dominant society don't change the names. The dominant society bring it straight up the middle. This what you gonna get. This is what you're gonna have as black folk. When Jewish people were going for reparations, they didn't call it something else. When the Japanese were going for reparations, they didn't call it something else. You get to us and all of a sudden, we gotta call it something else. We gotta play the pronoun game. We gotta relabel it. And you all know what happens if he forces you to relabel it something else, then what you're gonna get is something else.
That's facts. And that's exactly why we've been making sure that we stay focused and disciplined on the messaging. That's also why it's very important that we control the narrative of the messaging and don't let others try to get ahead of our messaging. See, what they like to do is they see what we're talking about on the grassroots level, and then they try to hijack the movement and derail the movement. We've seen this before. I mean, this is actually where we get all the terminology of woke and what woke is. And this anti-woke movement, it really came from what we were calling on the grassroots, the conscious community. I remember when it happened. All of a sudden, they started affiliating that saying woke. And I'm not going to lie, the conscious community, I'm not even going to go into the fact that, a lot of us is really just, we've allowed that to be corrupted to a certain degree in itself. But what I'm saying is they remarket it woke, and then all of a sudden the definition of this wokeism is nothing to do with what we were talking about in the first place. They rebranded it and derailed it. And if we allow them, they'll do the same thing with the reparations movement. They're actually already trying it. This is why you'll get certain different organizations and individuals who don't really rock with us, and a lot of them aren't even FBAs, who now are publicly speaking about reparations. They're trying to hijack this grassroots movement so that they can derail it, so they can misinform people about what it really is, which is why we have to continue to stay focused and disciplined on the messaging and consistent on it.
But you will not get reparations. Call area code 480. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Billy. I'm calling Chicago.
Okay, Billy from Chicago, west side or the south side?
North side.
Okay, Billy.
Yeah, see, listen, I don't know all that much about Chicago, but obviously, you know, when Jason Black heard us say the North Side, he knew that there was probably going to be a little something different coming from this cat, and of course there is. And if you listen closely, especially at the beginning, you'll realize that he's likely a tether. He has a slight accent that he's hiding, which for one, it's like, why are these people who have nothing to do with our movement trying to come in and try to critique us on what our movement should be and what we should be focused on? Why are people who fled where they come from and didn't bother to stand against all the different things and obstacles in their own homeland coming here trying to steer us? Obviously, they have a record of losing and fleeing. So why would they come here to speak to us as if they have something to add on to the movement or some critique or criticism of what we're doing, when they've proven they have had no success there, and the only reason they're here is because of our success? But anyway.
Oh, here we go. All right, Billy, what's on your mind?
Okay. Jason, why do you tend to always misinform your callers? Because I don't think Black people should be focused so much on reparations right now. Black people should just be more focused on how to fix their community. And
it's not that these people missed the point, really. It's not. This is just subversion, is what it is. Because it doesn't take a lot of common sense or intelligence to understand that by focusing on reparations, we are focusing on building our community and restoring our community. Most of what has been broken can be restored with reparatory justice, and what can't won't be derailed or diluted by us pushing for what is owed to us and has been for centuries now. So they make these nonsensical bad faith arguments and these points that really are irrelevant.
The culture that is destroying the community, not reparations. There are definitely much more important things to focus on rather than reparations.
And here's another point I'd like to make. So anytime you hear these people, I've said this before, these people that will say, here's what we should be doing, or we shouldn't be doing this like that, we should be doing it like this. Notice that they are never involved in pursuing what they say needs to be done. Like it'd be different. It was like, hey, I believe that we should be focused on the culture, so here's what I'm doing. Here's what I've organized to get done. Here's what I'm a part of. Here's a individual or an organization that I think is doing what needs to be done. Maybe you should tap in and support that. They don't do that because that's not their assignment. Their assignment is to get us off of task of what we're focused on. And they wouldn't be coming at us as heavy as they are if they didn't see progress being made.
And give me the top 3 things that have nothing to do with our socioeconomic position that we should be focusing on.
Well, just currently, I'm not sure if you are aware of what happened in the news today. There's a young woman who was a Chicago police officer who got gunned down by 3
that happened
young black
today.
men.
So that happened today, or that happened last week? That happened today?
That happened.
Economic position that we should be focusing on.
Well, just currently, I'm not sure if you are aware of what happened in the news today. There's a young woman who was a Chicago police officer who got gunned down by three
That happened.
black
That
young
happened
black
today.
men.
So that
And
happened today, or that happened last week? That happened today.
that happened. Well, that happened last week. But
Okay, thank you.
See, that's the thing. So when they start off with their first point and they're already being deceptive, like if their point is so strong, they wouldn't have to lead with deception. When their lead in is deception, you know everything that's coming after that is going to be some bullshit. When they purposely say things that aren't true, or they can't even just correct themselves or take the simple correction, and that's their lead in to their whole point, that nullifies their whole point. It nullifies their credibility after that point.
All right, you get your facts together. Get your facts together. Get your facts together
black people
first.
should be focused so much, not reparations.
Get your facts together first of all. If you're gonna make up propaganda, at least try to get the propaganda's facts together
It's not
first
propaganda.
of all. So you didn't even have
It's
the
not
facts together,
propaganda.
sir. Okay, my first thought about it. Is, if you're gonna ask that kind of question. Okay, let me make sure I've tuned up your banjo for you. Okay, so you're worried about the tragedy there of the young black female police officer who was killed up there in Chicago. You see that as an issue of the black community, is what you're saying, not the Chicago Police Department,
Absolutely.
but the black community.
It's an issue with the black community. She went home off duty. Basically, just got off work, and three young black thugs raised by single mothers.
Here's another thing about these cats, these trash pandas, if you will. When they bring up some of these mute points that have really nothing to do with why we shouldn't be pursuing reparation. Most police officers are killed by white people, and most of the white people that kill police officers are affiliated with white supremacist groups. But you never hear, well, definitely we don't hear the mainstream media say this, but you also don't hear those tethers and coons ever speaking on that or using those facts to undermine their political talking points. You don't hear these cats even speaking upon the things that actually is detrimental to us being done by these race soldiers. They just tell us that what we're pursuing isn't justified or credible based on the lowest denomination of our community.
Went ahead and gunned her down. That's the culture. That's black culture, basically. It's a matriarchal society, and we need to fix it. We need to start uplifting black men and motivating them.
Part of uplifting and fixing the matriarchal cycle or the single motherhoods and all that kind of stuff, economics would do that. Like, let's not forget, it was a systematic, deliberate plan and agenda to take men out of the household, not to negate us as men's responsibility. But that was a tool or a wedge or a weapon that was used by giving women resources as long as they don't have men in the picture. At a time where brothers was coming home from war and not able to find jobs and or shell shocked with PTSD and or sometimes strung out. So they took a very vulnerable time when our community was reeling from multiple systematic and deliberate injustices to put a wedge in our families, and that has generationally been a curse ever since. Not to negate the responsibility, but that is just a fact. That's just a reality. So having the financial means would be probably one of the biggest fixes for that. Plus, let's not forget, when it comes to reparations, it doesn't even matter because it is owed to us. It's ours. We wouldn't have to have this conversation if our ancestors were compensated for the work they've done. They would have been able to pass down wealth several generations. Fold. Businesses, industry, real estate, generational wealth would have been handed down to the point to where we would all be good. We would have inherited instead of debt wealth. We would have been able to build and sustain communities. So let's not forget that part.
To start doing things to promote and uplift their community.
Okay, brother, no offense. Do you need some Mucinex? Because you sound real stopped up. Every time you call me, it's like your allergies are messing with you. So before we go any further, do you need...
So based on what he just said there, he said every time you call up. So that means that this is, and like I said before, you only see this on the grassroots new black media, where you have deliberate trolling, repeat offenders that will continue to call in. It's propaganda. It's literally COINTEL. This is what we have to put up with on the grassroots level, but you don't see this thing happening to the tethers and coons that are either put before us or that wedge themselves with platforms to come against us.
Antihistamine, or do you need a decongestant? Because you sound stopped up every time you call in.
You could go ahead and just try to mock me or try to use ad hominem.
Brother, I'm not mocking you. These jokes write themselves. I'm not mocking you.
Well, again, you're trying to deflect off the issue. Reparations isn't the big thing. It's other things that are focused, that black people should focus more on. And I think that you're distracted.
I would argue that reparations is the biggest thing, because what he's talking about is only a couple generations. We're only a couple generations in with those particular problems. Reparations has been owed to us for several generations. That is the biggest hindrance to political injustice, economic, social position that we're in. The biggest. See, any place where you have poverty, you have crime. Where you have crime, you have violence. That is across the board for any people. So if you want to speak about crime being a problem, you have to speak about opportunities and financial equity first. It's not necessarily dominated by moralities, because most of the crimes, bar none, that we commit are crimes of survival, not crimes of passion. That's why when you look at other communities, like the white community, there's more rapes and crimes that have nothing to do with their survival. But on our side, you'll see crimes that have to do with trying to feed our families or to survive or to pay bills.
Black people from what's most important to them, which is the crime and the culture that is occurring in our community. I mean, I hear this all the time in Chicago.
Brother, what do you think about the 3 black kids who killed that woman in Colorado?
What?
No, watch this point right here. This is a chess move by the Black Authority.
What are you talking about?
There was that rock throwing incident in Colorado. These 3 black kids set up here and threw some rocks off a bridge, and this woman was driving along and got killed. Are you going to say that's a community issue also?
3 black kids went ahead and, I mean...
Are you going to say that's a community? Sure that's not a juvenile delinquents issue? You're going to say that's a black community issue?
You see, you're trying to just forget about. I'm talking about this specific issue.
Okay, I'm talking about. You just named 3. You just named 3 black teens in Chicago. You said they killed a police officer. Got it. What about the 3 black teens?
And it's not.
What about the 3?
Like
what about the 3 black teens? Okay, but sir, what about sir? We're not going to talk over the host. Sir, we're not going to talk over the host now.
In 30 minutes.
You're not that deep. You're not that congested. We're not going to talk over the host. In Colorado, there were 3 black kids who threw rocks off a bridge, and this white woman who was driving along got killed. Now, are you going to say that that's a community issue or that's a juvenile delinquents issue?
It's It's a community issue. Basically, if they were black, they're more than likely.
We said it's a community issue if they were black. So if they were black, it was a community issue. But let's see what he says about this once more information comes out.
They were raised by single mothers.
It was single mothers. They were black. It was a community issue. It's single mothers. Once again, like I said, to holistically repair our communities. The point is, taking reparations out the conversation doesn't increase our success with those other things. They could, we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
I'm very glad you said that, because Joseph Koenig, Nicholas Kolichik, and Zachary Quack were 3 white teenagers who on May 4th, just a couple of weeks ago, threw some rocks off of this overpass, and a 20-year-old woman driving along named Alexa Bartell was killed.
Well, they used rocks. They didn't.
Okay. See, at first it was a cultural issue because of single motherhood and blah, blah, blah. Then when he finds out they're white, all of a sudden now he's going to start making excuses for them. See, this is what they do. They apologize for the other side doing anything while continuing to condemn us. And you're going to see more of that when we get into some further reparations Sambo Babbling.
Okay, so that's okay. So it matters how you kill them. So if they had thrown rocks at the Chicago police officer, that would have been okay.
They had no attention.
Now look how excited he's getting. Look at how those are some good white boys. Those are some good white kids that just made a mistake. They weren't trying. This is you can't make this up. This is why I say it's disgusting. It'll make your stomach turn. And please, for the love of God, do not try to understand or put yourself in their heads as of why they act the way they do. Just accept the fact that they do, and then we figure out how to maneuver and neutralize these types. Don't try to put your mind in theirs and try to pontificate why, or have some type of understanding or some psychological evaluation. Is very, very simple. There are coons. The Willie Lynch chip has been activated to the fullest, and they ain't coming back. And accept that. The quicker you accept that, the better off you will be for your own personal sanity. You can't understand everything, y'all.
To kill that young woman who was killed in
so,
Colorado.
Okay, you can't prove the 3 teens. You can't prove that young black woman was killed.
Well, they used rocks. They didn't.
Okay,
use guns.
so that's okay. So it matters how you kill them. So if they had thrown rocks at the Chicago police officer, that would have been okay.
They had no intention to kill that young.
Look at them. Excuse. They weren't trying. They weren't trying. They used rocks, not guns. It's different. It was cultural when they were black, but now that they're white, no, they weren't intending to it. They used rocks. It was a whole different thing. It's okay. But when they were black, oh, those dirty black bastards. This is how they think. Don't worry about why they think like that, but that's just how they think. Understand that. So you'll understand that these type of people are in our midst, for real, for real. It's not just on the internet. These people really do exist among us.
Young woman who was killed in Colorado.
You can't prove the 3 teens. You can't prove that young black woman, sir. You can't prove that everything that was going on. Sir, you can't prove intent. You can't prove intent. You mental midget. You can't prove intent.
I highly doubt when people want to go ahead and throw rocks, they want to kill someone.
Okay, sir, you have no proof that they didn't.
You're trying to deflect off.
Notice the benefit of the doubt he's willing to give the white kids who killed someone versus the black kids. It's not cultural anymore. It wasn't intentional even. And he knows this somehow. They go out of their way to throw us under the bus and apologize and be apologetic. This is the same kind of thing that you see with the Daniel Penny situation, where he's being cheered on and held as a hero while the victim is being demonized and undermined, but they're making excuses for why he had to do it, why someone had to. And this is This is how sad it is for these clowns. How despicable it is.
No, sir. What I did was I just gave the exact same scenario. You said 3 kids killed a black woman in Chicago. They're black. Oh, they're thugs. 3 white kids in Colorado. Well, what did they use exactly? Oh, was it a rock? I'm sure they didn't mean to. Brother, let me tell you, you've earned tonight's theme song for you. Go ahead and get your thistle out. Go ahead and.
All right, we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep moving. All right. Now, so that's on one level, right? That's the trolling level. Almost harmless, almost. That's a trolling level. But now let's get to the political level, because understand that it's those types who are hand selected and picked through the algorithms in order to have some type of influence and to be supported politically. It's the same type of mind frame. It's the same cloth. So now let's get to someone by the name of Representative James Clyburn. I believe he's in South Carolina. Yeah, 6th District. This is the person who Marcel Dixon is running against, who needs more support if you're out there in South Carolina, if you want to get trash puppet raccoons out of the picture.
You want to know if you support reparations? I'm sorry? You want to know if you support reparations? I support reparations, but other than that name, y'all need to learn what reparations is. Y'all keep talking about a word. It means to repair. It's cash payments for all. Hell no.
Hell no. Cash payments, hell no. Like why so vehemently against cash payments for us? That's what I would ask. Why? First, he supports reparations because it means repair. The biggest sector of repair that is needed for us is financial. And it's what's owed to us because it's what we have built for the rest of the world to enjoy. Economic wealth and power. But he's hell no. And he said it with his chest, hell no. But just think about this though. Let me make a point or two. These same Tethers and Coons who are so anti us getting reparations and or cash payments, have you ever heard them go against any type of reparations, aids, or cash payments to the Redskin Native Americans? You'll be hard pressed to find them ever speaking against or making different type of stipulations to why they should get it. They're not out there saying, well, because the Native community, they're disproportionately battling drugs and alcohol more than any other people. So maybe we shouldn't give them that reparation. They'll just spend it on alcohol and drugs. You don't hear that. You don't hear them saying that. You never heard them say that Asians didn't deserve it for what they went through. You'll be hard pressed to find anything like that. You definitely wouldn't hear them ever speak about Israel and all the aid and reparations they have been getting and still continue to get by the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars. They will never, especially these politicians, will never speak against that or say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be giving billions of dollars to defense budget aid for Israel or to maintain their Holocaust museums and whatnot. They'll never go against that. And what you'll never, ever see is any of those groups speaking against their own reparations movements. You will not find a Jewish person saying, hey, we've had enough money. America wasn't even responsible for what happened to us in Germany. They shouldn't be giving us this money. You'll never hear a Jewish person say that. You ever hear a Japanese person saying, hey, we didn't really deserve that. We shouldn't get that. That was a long time ago. You'll never hear a Native American, Redskin Native American saying, hey, you guys have already gave us land and we got these casinos. We're getting this money. We're getting these checks every month. We don't really need that. We got to figure out what we're doing with our family first and get off of alcohol and drugs. And we have cultural issues that we have to eradicate before we can get this money. You'll never hear them say that. It's a special type of person who will go against their own self-interest. And unfortunately and disproportionately, it exists in our community and people who look like us more so than any others. Let's keep it pushing. We got another example. Another example that I've used before on my other channel. This is, we're going to stay in the realms of politics because this was a political hearing that took place a few, how many years ago was this? I want to say 2018, 2019, maybe. And this was a tether. This is a Puerto Rican tether that was put before us. Now, because of the momentum that we have received or that we have been able to build on this reparations movement from a grassroots level, they had to have a slavery reparations hearing in the Senate. And what they did is they plucked the biggest coons that they can find to speak against reparations. This was one of them. This was an aspiring rapper / gay activist, Coleman Hughes, who's now using the name Hughes in this clip because he wants to try to tether so people wouldn't know his true identity. But you know, the black media, the new black media, pulled out who he really is. Now, when this first happened, I did a video on my other channel. And, you know, I also showed a video of him, his rap video, a song that was called My Dick Works. My Dick Works Fine or something like that. And he's like salaciously dancing around in a New York subway, pole dancing in his underoos, literally. But we're going to listen to what he has to say about the reparations movement. Now, remember, his family comes from Puerto Rico. But here's what he has to say. And who will speak at this time? I think Herschel Walker was speaking at this particular hearing, and others that also was going against the grain for reparations. But here you go.
Nothing I'm about to say is meant to minimize the horror and brutality of slavery and Jim Crow.
When you lead with that, you know the fuckery is coming. You know what's coming next is it gonna do exactly what he says is not his intentions, or at least he knows that it may come off like that. Let's see what he has to say.
Racism is a bloody stain on this country's history, and I consider our failure to pay reparations directly to freed slaves after the Civil War to be one of the greatest injustices ever perpetrated by the U.S. government.
So far, okay. Let's see what else you got to say.
But I worry that our desire to fix the past compromises our ability to fix the present. Think about what...
Only with us are points like this made. No one else hears that spill. Well, us trying to eradicate what happened back then it's gonna ruin our present and our future. But with us, it's like, hey, we can't live in the past. Yeah, we know that you're 100 paces behind. You're 200 years back from everyone else based on what happened to you. But we can't focus on that anymore. But when it comes to us, you know, that's a fair argument.
What we're doing today. We're spending our time debating a bill that mentions slavery 25 times, but incarceration only once.
Of course, it mentions slavery 25 times. It is a slavery reparations hearing. Incarceration, however, is just an extension of that according to the 13th Amendment. But yes, that's the foundation of what this reparations movement is based on slavery. And the injustices that didn't end there, but started there. So that's the starting point for the reparations argument and movement. And that is exactly why we are doing this on a lineage-based movement, to make sure that those who weren't here and didn't build this nation aren't the ones that are going to get reparatory justice. Now, once we get this settled and we get what we need here, and you want to talk about the Jim Crow and the racism and mass incarceration, this and that, then we could possibly expand it to others who were involved and hindered by those things. But first, we start with ground zero. And if these tethers and coons, especially these tethers, were wise, they would be pushing on our side for this movement, knowing that if we get this accomplished, some of the other things that may come later that would benefit them would be easier to achieve.
In an era with no black.
But if they could think like that, they would be at home fighting. If they thought like that, we wouldn't have had a stale Pan-African movement for 100 years with no cooperation from anyone but us.
Black slaves, but nearly 1 million black prisoners. A bill that doesn't mention homicide once, at a time when the Center for Disease Control reports homicide as the #1 cause of death for young black men. I'm not saying that.
But this reparations movement isn't just for young black men. And there was much more homicides during the years of slavery than there are now. And also, I should have led with this, but really that's irrelevant to if this money is owed to us. Indeed it is. Period. All these side points are mute points. And the things that hinder us could be better addressed with economic and socio reparatory justice. Matter of fact, just cut the check. Let's make it simple. All these things could be addressed if they cut that check. You would see a lot of our problems disappear with the cutting of a check.
That acknowledging history doesn't matter. It does. I'm saying there's a difference between acknowledging history and allowing history to distract us from the problems we face today.
Well, the history wouldn't distract us from the problems we face today if amends were made for the history. We could all get over it. If amends were made in the proper way. If the same way we have benefited this nation, we got our payback. We got paid back for that. If we got paid back for the very reason this clown could be, even wants to be here. In fact, let me show you. Let me do this real quick. This is a joke, but I want to let me see something. Where's that Cat Williams at? We can get over all these things if we were paid what is owed to us, and I can't find that video. It doesn't matter. Let's go.
History doesn't matter. In 2008, the House of Representatives formally apologized for slavery.
Fuck an apology. Thank you, but fuck it. We don't know how sincere that apology is until it's met also with tangibles. Because I don't really care what their intentions or their feelings are. I care that what is the damage that was done to us, there is a real effort to repair. That's what matters. They didn't just apologize to the Japanese, they cut checks. They didn't just say we feel bad and we give our thoughts and prayers to the Jewish that suffered through the Holocaust. They cut checks. They didn't just say, oh, my bad, natives, for what we did, destroying and genociding. No, they gave tangibles. So why is that not the same recipe for fixing what happened to us?
In Jim Crow. In 2009, the Senate did the same. Black people don't need another apology. We need safer neighborhoods and better schools.
Both of those can be done with economics. Safer neighborhoods, because like I said before, crime is a byproduct of poverty and violence is a byproduct of crime. Education, Well, for us to truly be able to educate ourselves and not even depend on others to do the educating for us, a check will do. Thank you very much.
We need a less punitive criminal justice system.
We wouldn't need that if we were in an economic situation where crimes would be pretty much eradicated.
We need affordable health care.
We wouldn't need, we'd be able to take care of our healthcare needs if we were economically set up the way we should be. See, the reason why most white people, especially those in the upper middle class and wealthy ones, don't ever care about healthcare is because they can afford the best of healthcare. They can afford the best of food, which is a preventive to needing healthcare. And if we were compensated for what we did, we would never be in a situation where healthcare would even be an issue. But with economic compensation for what was done to us in the past, we would be able to address those healthcare needs.
And none of these things can be achieved through reparations for slavery.
All of those things that he named, every single one and many more, could be achieved. And this is why you see these cats looking at him the way he's looking at him. Even the white girl here is like, damn, I'm embarrassed for this nigga. Even the Asian here is dumbfounded. She's like, whoa. She couldn't even imagine. She's trying to imagine her own people going against their own movements like that. She can't even do it. That's why that stoic look in her eye, like she's zoned out at this point. This nigga's looking like I would love to slap the motherfucking taste out your mouth. This sister's looking like this nigga ain't shit. She's flabbergasted, bewildered. She's like, damn.
Nearly everyone close to me told me not to testify today. They told me that even though I've only ever voted for Democrats, I'd be perceived as a Republican and therefore hated by half the country. Others told me that by distancing myself from Republicans, I would end up angering the other half of the country. And
who cares about
the sad truth is that they were both right. That's how suspicious we've become.
No. We're suspicious of you. We are very suspicious of Negroes like you, tether coon, moist individuals. And by the way, when he first did this, I did the research on who this cat was, and I found his IG page and his Instagram had like 500 followers. His little video had like 300 views at the most. And I was like bewildered myself, like, where did they get this dude from? Like, he's not even like some kind of person who, online magazine columnist and author that you've never heard of. How did they get him in front of the Senate for a reparations hearing with all the different people who they could have called? They could have called a Umar Johnson. They could have called a Cynthia McKinney. They could have called Dr. Claude Anderson. They could have called a Tariq Nasheed. They could have called so many individuals that would have been able to give a better articulation and understanding for the case of reparations. And they picked this dude who no one's heard of, this obscure nobody, LGBT activist / wannabe rapper with 500 Instagram followers. But now if you look this same dude up, oh, they really signal boosted him as a voice, because that's what they do. See, the algorithms and those who speak against us are always aided by the algorithms and by the dominant society. So now when you look this dude up, he has a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of followers. He's kind of popping. He ain't really popping because even though he has hundreds of thousands of followers, his views does not consist with how many followers and subscribers he has. But the point is, yes, they'll give voice to those algorithmically or literally those who speak like this. And now let's end it with one more reparations Sambo Babbler. That goes by the name of Taharka Clown Bay. The sex offending, woman beating, child abusing, scamming bastard. This is him, the ugly turtle as some people know him as. So here's him with some cat that you've never heard of, you never will hear of. You can just tell by this still shot right here that, look, eyes are bucking already. This moist, get slapped by niggas, run away, then make 100 videos about it. And this old nigga. And the reason you have to see this, because these are the same type of people who they will pluck and put in front of you if they feel like they can get mileage out of it. Same type of mentality. Same apologetic for the other side, apologetic for the slave masters mentality. Watch.
We gave you niggas land. We allowed you niggers to work. We put you niggers in field. When you wanted civil rights, we gave it to you niggers, and you're still not happy. Now you want reparations. So what is the arrogant mind?
And you can see how he's starting off on this clip is that when he's saying we gave, he's speaking from their perspective that we gave. We all know that nothing was given to us. They didn't give us any kind of rights. We had to fight for them. If they would have gave them to us, we would have never had to fight for them. How we have to fight for something in the 60s, but they gave it to us. Several hundreds of years later, they gave it to, no, we fought. They would have never gave it to us on their own accord, or you wouldn't have had centuries of slavery. Period. I'm sick of this narrative that they gave us. People don't know our own history. They swear up and down they gave us MLK Day because they don't know the history of how MLK Day came to be. Swear up and down they gave us Black History Month in February because it's the shortest. No, we created it at that time for a particular reason. Carter G. Woodson created it it was actually Black History Week, and it was created the same time of Frederick Douglass's birthday. It wasn't given to us. We took it. Then we expanded it. And then other people decided to celebrate it with us and or, concede to its existence. Acknowledge it, if you will. It wasn't given to us.
Of the oppressors going to think that you're not happy. So you're not patriotic.
He's worried about what they're going to think. We don't give a damn what they think. That's the difference. We're unapologetic about it. We don't care what they think. Pay what you owe. Call the creditors that you owe money to and tell them and ask them what they think or ask them if they care what you think. No, they're going to say you owe this debt. Sift it. Settle it in full. Or meet consequences. They're going to think we're not patriotic. Who gives a fuck? Pay it.
So what benefit would it do for them to give reparations?
The benefit would be economically at first. Directly, economically. What benefit does it for them to give money to Israel? Or any of the other many foreign nations that get billions of dollars of aid from us? How does that benefit us? How does that benefit society? How did the reparations for the Confederates benefit our society? No one asks those questions when it comes to others who receive aid, reparations, and what's owed to them, just when it comes to us. And unfortunately, you'll hear more people that look like us asking these dumbass questions than you do the other side, because they don't have to as long as there's clowns like this that exist. The first line of defense for white supremacy comes from cats like this.
To a bunch of disgruntled people. It makes no sense.
The fact that he can make this argument is what doesn't make sense. Look at this old, mad, angry, riled up coon and how upset he is at the notion that we want reparations and how passionate he will defend Massive Boss. Look at him. We sick boss ass nigga. And then watch what this dude does just to back him when he starts explaining and reparations Sambo Babbling and apologizing and wanting to make us see it from their perspective, sympathize with their struggle. Check this out.
And I think one of the points that a lot of our people miss when fighting for reparations is that it's definitely an uphill battle, because they hold the key to the safe, and you're asking them to take that key, open the safe, and dispense that which is in the safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Come on.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Because all that they went through to put us in this condition. I mean,
all they went through, everything that they went through was so tough for them. I mean, they went through a lot to put us in this position. We got to respect that. We got to sympathize with that, what they went through. We got to have some sympathy and empathy and understanding to what they went through to enslave our people. Those poor slave masters went through a lot.
Really consider it down to
the detail. They
really went through a lot. I mean, we live today, and we
look at them. That's why I said this is sickening. It's sickening, y'all. They got their banjos strumming and their feet are shuffling as they babble like Sambo.
take life for granted for the most part. But when you look at the process of the lives that they're lost, see, they never.
What they lost. Look at that. The lives they lost. Now they reportedly murdered over 100 million people during the transatlantic slave trade. But we need to really be considering their losses, though. Like, and he does this rocking a Circle 7 on his chest, calling himself a Grand Sheik, the People's Sheik, representing the Moorish Science Temple and Noble Drew Ali. And you wonder why 95% of FBA is willing to throw everything associated with Noble Drew Ali in the fucking trash. I know it's not all. Yes, we know it's not all. But damn it, he is stepping in your cloth, making these foolish ass points. And the only person to even touch him up was somebody from outside the temple, when they should have internally handled this cat a long time ago.
Underscore the lives that they lost during slavery.
Look at this. This dude, he's so obsessed with making us sympathetic to those poor slave masters' lives and what they had to go through. You don't understand what they had to go through. It was tough for them. It wasn't easy for them. They lost a lot of lives trying to enslave us. You know, they went through a lot. We gotta be more sympathetic to them. This nigga is fucking out of his goddamn mind. Like, what I wouldn't give just to put hands on some of these cats, I will gladly do a couple weeks in jail. Just to bam, bank these cats. I will sleep sound in my cell, just replaying that in my head, smiling. Fuck it. Because these things are going to have to happen, man. There has to be a mechanism in place. The same way you see these white supremacists who incentivize things like what Daniel Penny did, we have to discourage, even if it takes physicalities to do so, this type of behavior.
Oh, they don't talk about all the sunken ships.
Oh, those poor sunken ships. They took losses. We sick, boss. The house is on fire, boss. You got to get out of here. I'm so sorry about your plantation being burnt down. Them niggas just don't sympathize with what y'all had to do. The sunken ships, nigga. What? Like, you notice he's not making any points for why we should be getting in what our people went through. He ain't got no rap for that. No, instead he's Sambo babbling about poor Master Boss and what he had to go through to keep us enslaved. It wasn't easy. Nobody considers how difficult it was and how masterful that this genius, these are good white people.
That when our people revolted on these,
yeah, how dare we? We ain't considering how much mayhem it caused when we was revolting. It ain't like we just stood there and took it like good niggas. So now I don't think they owe us anything. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. You correct me if I'm wrong.
Transatlantic slave trades. They don't talk about all the people that came and tried to make deals and got killed and never left the shores of Africa with any people. They don't talk about the people that came here and got killed by the natives.
I mean, he got spilled. I mean, this wow. Is somebody writing this shit for him? What's up? He's really pulling this out of his own mind. And you wonder why. We can't trust niggas like this. You wonder why people hit me up all the time asking me to keep going in on this cat. And I'm like, nah, I don't even want to touch this dude. This dude is pathetic. No. But I get it. These things have to be highlighted. This is in real time. We couldn't do this in the past. This dude just did a whole diatribe about why we should sympathize with what they went through to enslave us. He's not saying anything, nor have you ever heard him say what we went through deserves to be, and because of A, B, C. He's making bullet point arguments for why we should sympathize and consider what they went through. We sick, boss. Everybody ain't gonna make it. Everybody doesn't deserve to make it.
Here and the blood that they shed to try to get to this point too.
You hear this dude, man? I can't take no more of this, man. I'm gonna throw up. My stomach is getting queasy for real. But this is the reparations Sambo Babbling that I'm talking about. This is the type of shit you would never hear them say about other people who's received reparations. And this is the stuff you would 100% would never hear other people who has received reparations say about their own community. You would never hear a Jewish person saying, well, you gotta consider the resources that Hitler had to put into what he's doing. The trial and error in the experimentation of how to kill us effectively. You're not considering the cost involved with it. Why should we get reparations? It cost them money to do these things to us, and hey, it just wouldn't add up. You wouldn't hear these kind of things. You wouldn't hear natives saying, well, hey, the land that they gave us, we got to consider what they did. We killed some of their people. Maybe we should give them the land back. You never hear no shit like that. But this is what these babbling, coon, clown, banjo playing, foot shuffling trash pandas do on the daily. That is what they build their platform on. Disgusting. If you're still listening, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff, y'all. Yeah, this is what we're up against, unfortunately. The first level of this fight, unfortunately, is tethers and coons that share DNA with us. I'm out.